Welcome to Tropes and Traumas, where books hurt us.
And we love it anyways. Back, you guys. We are so excited because today we are going to be talking all about the book Dun 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 Dun! One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig.
Book was amazing.
Yes, it was so good, you guys.
I do want to preface this video with a little bit of a trigger warning. Rachel did not put a trigger warning in the beginning of her books, but I do think that could have been helpful because there are a lot of darker elements between the characters, and I'm not sure what y'all are into, but just be warned, this is just a general trigger warning for everybody.
So, let's just start off. What did you think of the beginning? How she was starting the world building and how we got to meet our main character?
I will say it was very slow for me at the beginning. But I feel like I will attribute that to one, I have not read a darkly themed book in a while. Also, the last books we just came off of were very bright. Everything was in Egypt where there is sun all over the place. So even just the environment was bright. Whereas here, we're literally in the mist. The entire kingdom is covered in mist. They don't have any sun. And they definitely did a very good job at conveying that, which made it take a little bit of a second before I kind of got used to it.
I completely agree. I had the same thing where I was like, man, this is feeling so slow. But it's also important to also note that she is building a world, and I feel like it was having to get to the building of it. Like once we got through the whole building the world and understanding the main character and understanding everything else, it kind of made it a lot easier to jump into what was next. But I think a lot of that world building just took a minute for me to get my attention span there.
Right. And it's definitely a different magic system than what I'm used to, also. Any
Hmm.
other magic system that I've read about was very much in your face. Just, you kind of just get it. With this, they kind of had to explain how the mist works, how you get infected. Not everybody's infected, but magic still works through the cards. People can still use the cards. Like, there's a whole lot of stuff going on.
There
But
absolutely
it made
is.
it fun for sure, and it
Mhm.
made the story what it was. So it was definitely important for her to explain all that so we can kind of just, when the action begun, we were just getting into it.
Yes, absolutely. What did you think when Elspeth went with her family to the castle? And she sat with Emery, I think it was, and then she started drinking wine, and then he took her out in the hall. What did you think about that?
Well, Emery definitely fit the storyline of being creepy.
Boy
Because I
was
was like,
spooky.
who is this guy and what is he yapping about? Because, sir, get your hands off of me. First of all, I don't know you. And second of all, the stuff he was saying was like, how do you know what you know? And do you know that you know what you know? Like, it felt very foreboding.
I thought he was gonna attack her. I really did. I thought he slipped something into her wine. That's why he told her to drink it. And then him bring her out into the hall, it just felt so eerie. And
Right.
I felt like she was in immediate danger. And then we meet Ravyn. And I was like, oh, thank God, this attractive man is coming to save her. Just to find out later when she goes out into the garden and she runs into him that he was actually the guy who attacked her in the beginning of the story.
Right. That was wild.
That was wild. Wild. And then he's like, shh, stay quiet. Would have been like, and she was screaming, and I was like, I was happy she was fighting for her life, but that was such a scary moment. Oh my gosh.
And you called Raven attractive, but I will not get over the description of his nose. It just doesn't sit well with me. She keeps saying it's a hooked nose, and I'm like, Professor Snape, is that you?
I never pictured that hook
So
nose. I completely forgot all about it until the second book, but we'll get there. But let's talk a little bit more about her interaction with her cousin Ione. It seems like
yes.
they are close, and then once she gets to the castle, her father talks about trading her so she could become queen and giving the king the nightmare card.
In exchange for a marriage agreement.
Yeah, and then she finds Ione in the garden with the other women, and she has a maiden's card. What did you
Yeah.
think about that?
I mean, I didn't necessarily know what to think yet because I didn't know the effect that the maiden card really had
Hmm.
until later on. So initially, I kind of had two different feelings. I was like, well, I feel like it's like any other kingdom. If you want to move up in life, you have to go with whoever has the most money, whoever's got the most, like the higher position in the kingdom or whatever. And like her father managed to figure out a way to get her with the prince. Like, what did you want out of, you know what I mean? What did you expect from that? But I also felt from Elspeth's perspective where it's like, dang, I feel like she's like losing her favorite cousin. Like that's her safe place. Like that was one of the only people that she could really hang out with who knows that she has the infection and she doesn't have to worry about anything else.
I definitely agree with that. But I do have to say, I think Elspeth did actually state that, the maiden card would make her feel cold. She did state that. She was like, "What are you doing with the maiden card? Like that turns your heart black." And she also goes ahead and she's like saying that Hoth, the guy that the prince, is essentially awful, and that's just from the stories that she hears. And I guess reading it from Elspeth's perspective, I was terrified for Ione. Because if that was my cousin, I would have been like, why would you want to marry this man who we know is already from, I mean, the way she describes in the stories that she talks about hearing is that he seems like a not good person. And I am just on edge because I don't know what's going to end up happening with her. But I did not like, and I didn't like how her cousin reacted either. She was like, what was it that she said? She was like, maybe I want this. And like, she was just being so cold to her cousin and shutting her out. I can
Right.
understand having like an argument with your cousin because I mean, we're cousins, people argue. It's completely understandable. But to shut someone out the way that she did, it was, it just broke their connection. And I felt like it's one of those things where like they say when you get into a relationship with someone who is abusive, that they get you to kind of cut off all your family members,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
felt like that's exactly what was happening. She was cutting off her family member who, if she needed anything, she would have been able to run to Elspeth. And now, with the
Right.
way that she's interacting, it's like now you can't because you cut off that relationship. And I just feel all this dread. All this dread around this whole
Like,
situation.
oh yeah, now that you say that, I mean, yeah, it's definitely very scary, especially since it's extremely early on. Like they're not even like married yet. They just
Hmm.
the agreement just happened.
Yeah.
Like
We don't even know if they really know each other at this point.
I doubt that they do. Most of the
Hmm.
time they don't. It's just a matter of position in the kingdom and whatnot.
Yeah. But then Raven takes Elspeth and he starts to ask her, why were you out in the woods? And he starts asking her all these questions and he finds out that she can see all the cards. And
Right.
Elspeth is trying to hide the fact that she has, a voice in her head that has been with her since she was young.
The nightmare, the monster.
Yes. What did you think about that whole thing once he finds out about the cards and he starts testing her with his family, he starts telling everyone. What did you think?
I feel like I don't know. I both trusted him and didn't trust him. I wasn't sure if there was still going to be some sort of ulterior motive behind everything because he does claim that the whole purpose behind all this is so they can collect the deck and get all the cards together so that they can get rid of the mist, which is what's causing all the havoc that's going on throughout the kingdom with the infection, which is what Elspeth would want, of course. She wants to get rid of this voice in her head. She wants to be able to be normal like everybody else, and not have to hide away in the castle all the time. I mean, just being out right now was the first time she's been out in years. She's had this nightmare in her head for what, 11 years is what they said. She's had it since she was about 9 years old, and she is now 20. Like, it's a pretty wild situation to have to live and grow up that way. So, of course, she would want to join if that was the actual cause behind it all. Being that this is still the very beginning of the book, I'm like, are we sure? Do we trust this guy? You never can really trust the extra characters. Sometimes you can't even trust the narrator for that matter. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. I didn't know which way to sway just yet.
And then we meet Elle, which is the prince that lives with Ravyn. And
Oh,
he,
yeah.
yeah, and he seems like a dick. Like the whole time. Like he's like talking with Ravyn and he's like, "How can we trust her?" And like he's just so rude.
He's
Like
giving
he
middle child.
is. He is. Oh my goodness. Anyways, so then they end up, going to Castle U because he's gonna court her. So just to make it look that way.
Pretend to court
So
her, yeah. So that
yeah.
way she has a reason to be around him so often.
Yes, and it gets very interesting. Did you think that their courtship was going to become real when you were reading it, or did you think that that wasn't going to happen? Like, did you actually suspect any romance? Because in the very beginning, it seemed not like it.
Yeah, it didn't seem likely, but also romance in most of these stories is pretty predictable. I kind of felt like it wasn't going to last too long. It's also one of my favorite tropes, the whole fake dating, and then they end up actually liking each other. Like, we can play pretend all we want, but he is supposed to be handsome, and he is the captain of the Destriers, so he is a man of power.
Yes. And then they are in the process of trying to gather cards, and they go to the woods and they try to steal these people's cards, which they're not supposed to do, guys. But they
Right?
try.
They pretend to be what they call highwaymen.
And they go ahead and they are stealing the cards, and they actually find out that the person that they're trying to steal from is the prince, her dad,
Off. Hmm. And then
um,
Elspeth's dad, yeah,
hmm
who was the previous captain of the Destriers.
in the process, so much tea happens, you guys. So much. It's crazy. Um, what did you think about that whole scene? Did you think Jesper was gonna like I thought we weren't gonna get Jesper back because she loses her charm in the woods and she
Hmm.
starts to go nuts. It's insane because we actually get to see what the mist actually does to people.
Right. I wasn't even focused on that part, honestly. I was worried that Elspeth was gonna end up either killing her dad or her dad was gonna stab her. They did end up tussling, and I'm like, oh my god, you fighting your daddy. And she like actually likes her dad for the most part. So I'm like, it's not like a good thing.
She fights everyone. She fights her daddy. She fights Hoth. She is literally the queen of fighting right now, and she keeps leaning into the nightmare in order to do so, which becomes important later.
Just a mess. But it's like, how do you not? Like, he turns her into like Superwoman. She's just goes from 0 to 10 in point 0.5 seconds. Like, she's got claws, she's got speed, she's dangerous.
She sure is. And she wins against Hoth, but in the process, he breaks her arm,
Well, her
which
wrist specifically.
and then later on, after they get Jesper back, they give her a charm, and then they go to Market Day, and she sees her cousin again, and her cousin's like, "What happened to you?" And she's like, "No answer." Then Hoth comes around, and he's like, "Someone attacked me, and I broke their wrist." And then he goes, "What happened to your wrist?" Immediately, I'm like, "Oh my God, no! What do you mean? Why didn't they hide this better?" He
Okay, okay,
goes,
okay.
"We went riding, fell off her horse, and broke her wrist." So Ione, by
Hmm.
the way, you guys, this woman has been using the card. She cannot feel anything. She's like stone from the beginning to now. She's a completely different person, and it's because of the maiden card, as explained. And then now she's covering for Elspeth, which is so confusing because I thought if the card was going to make her like stone, she wouldn't care. So why would she be
Right.
covering up for her?
I guess that's just her being able to fight through it as much as she possibly could. And that was the little bit she could pull off. Because she obviously still had a very deep relationship with her cousin.
And you can see it by her lying to her betrothed to protect Elspeth, knowing that Elspeth might have been the one who attacked him. Crazy.
I'm pretty sure she knew that that's exactly what it was. Ione seems to be very wise in that way. But also, it's dangerous for Ione because I know Ione knows who she's with. And if he finds out that she's lying to cover up for her cousin, she's in danger, to say the least.
Because again, you guys, they have the Providence cards. The first one being, well, one of them being the Maiden, which can give you beauty, but can also make your heart turn cold. The Nightmare, which can make you listen to people's minds, which Ravyn has. And then we have the Scythe card, which Elm, the King, and Hoth has. I mean, if at any point he wanted to take control of her, he absolutely could. It's just insane to think about, to be honest. There's a lot of other cards, but let's move forward. So during the market day, all of a sudden Hoth decides to punish a family for hiding that they had the fever. In the process, he takes this little boy, chains him up to the gate, and then sends his parents out into the fog without charms. Elm and Elspeth decide that they were not having it. So Elm challenges Hoth by using his scythe to get him to stop, and Elspeth uses her power and gets the boy free, and then runs off to find the parents with the boy.
So, something that was extremely interesting me about that whole moment was the fact that was actually an extremely powerful scythe user. He's been using this scythe for a while, and he didn't just stop Hawk. He kind of froze time for that moment. He stopped everybody in that square from moving in order for Elspeth to make her escape, which was
Ages.
wild because I didn't know the scythe could do that. I thought the scythe was just controlling one person or maybe a couple of people in front of you, not him basically putting everybody in stop motion.
Yeah, that was insane. Could you imagine if someone did that to you, use the scythe on you?
I don't like that idea at all. That
I
sounds terrifying.
honestly, I honestly think I might have a mental breakdown if that ever happened to me.
Right, not having
Like,
control. I already feel like I don't have control over myself when I have dealing with my anxiety and stuff. So like that would push me over the edge.
yeah, I absolutely agree. I think I would have went into the fog just for the hell of it. I probably would have escaped into the fog. I would have been like, I'm taking my charm and I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going.
Right.
Because I'm not having a card used on me. Then Raven's like, what the heck? What kind of power do you have? He's so patient with her because he doesn't even push any farther than that, even though Elm is ready to
Very
tussle.
suspicious. He's
Mm-hmm.
extremely suspicious, has been suspicious of her from the get-go. She's saying all she can do is see the colors of the cards. He's like, yeah, okay.
So then after that, we get to another event, but this time it's at the Spindle House, where
Hmm.
they're all there, and Hoth, against their will, uses the chalice on them and asks Elspeth what really happened to her wrist. And guys,
Right.
this is when it gets crazy because
It's
how she
intense.
didn't
This whole situation's super intense.
it was so. I didn't expect that was why he used the chalice. I mean, obviously, I expected he suspected it was her, but I didn't think that it was going to get there that fast, and that was why he did that. I thought he used the chalice on them to use it for Ravyn, but it doesn't work against Ravyn. Oh.
Right. I didn't think he was still so stuck on what happened to him in the woods. But
Mm-hmm.
apparently his pride was real hurt that somebody was able to best him in the woods.
And he even lied, knowing it was a girl, and said it was a boy.
There was no way it could have been a woman. Not against Hoth.
So then Elspeth tries to lie, and she ends up vomiting blood. It gets crazy. It gets crazy.
Right, because the chalice is definitely an extremely strong card, as are all the cards, but this one has extremely ill effects and will not let you lie, no matter
Mm-hmm.
how hard you try.
What did you think about that whole situation?
The fact that they thought this was a game and that this is something that they do often enough was sick. I would not partake in such activities. I promise you that. Especially not with someone like Hoth, because he's not gonna ask silly questions. He's gonna ask the darkest questions possible, anything to get you to spill the things you know you want to keep to yourself.
And she ended up saying that she loved Ravyn.
Oh, is that when that happens?
That's when she admits it. And at this point they had
God.
already did the deed. And
Oh, that's
apparently it was really
right.
good.
Mm,
Hmm.
this is true.
I didn't expect that scene to be in this book, by the way, guys. I thought this was like YA, and all of a sudden they were like getting naked, and I was
This
like,
book is very much not YA. Let me tell you.
and also, you guys, during that little hanky panky scene, right before they like got into that, he was like, "Just tell me, Elspeth, what's your secret? What is going on?" And she was like, "You wouldn't believe me, like if I told you, like you wouldn't love me anymore. But what is it?" And then they just do it. So like she like kind of got away from answering the question by them just doing hanky panky.
I mean, it's
I
a
mean, it's
great response.
it's a way to distract
I'd
them,
rather
but
that response than you telling me the truth. Let's just do what we do.
see, but as we know now, Raven would have just been completely understanding.
He was understand the reason why they were able to just roll into doing that is because he's like,
I'll love you no matter what.
I already told you it's okay that you have secrets. Girl, I got secrets. You don't press me, I won't press you. Now until it becomes actually important, I don't need to know your business.
Then we get to when Elspeth wakes up and he's like, I'd love her no matter what. And then she's like, I'll tell you, you guys. And then she lets him use the card on her and he hears the nightmare and he starts
Right.
freaking out. Freaking out. And do I blame him? No. I would have freaked out.
Right. Elspeth's used to having this creepy ass voice in her head, talking about it's this slick, oily voice. I'm like, that sounds terrible.
She had an
I
old
have
man. How do you explain that to somebody? Do I blame her for not telling anybody? No. Because what do you say? I'm sorry, there is a 100,000-year-old creature in my head right now talking to me at all times. I could not.
Yeah, and then the fact that even during their little moment, dude was still in her head.
He was probably like, did this man see my penis?
I don't know if that's what he was thinking, but it's a valid thought process.
Mm-hmm, sure is.
Oh no.
But then before they even get to talk more about it, right? So she tells Raven, she tells Elm, and then the boys go off because the king calls them, which immediate red flag. She
Right.
just lied to the prince and threw up blood everywhere. And obviously he's onto her, and now the king is calling you. Suspicious. But okay. Oh, and then her dad gives her the well card, which, by the way, you
Right.
guys, they have been trying to get this card for like,
They have
was
so many different little plans. I mean, as it is during that market day situation, she kept saying, let's go to the house so we can just sneak around and find the card. Only for her dad. Thank God they didn't do all that and actually were able to save the kid.
someone did sneak in the house. Somebody else. Raven had another family member sneak in the house and they couldn't find the card. And then
Mm.
they tried to sneak in the house and find the card on a different day. Like all of them were there and then like they like split up. It was crazy for all this
All
work.
for no reason.
Just for him to be like, hey, there's this card that it was actually your mom's. I just wanted to gift it to you. What was all that work for?
Thanks, Dad.
She should have just asked him from the beginning.
Right.
Oh my goodness. That was so funny. And then
Uh,
her uncle is like, let me talk to you. Which,
right.
ill. You just gave away your daughter to a prince that you know is cruel as. But okay. As he gets her into the room, who's in the corner? Oh.
Creepy ass.
And he's like, I'm gonna get raped. Blah blah blah. I'm evil. The uncle leaves, and he's telling his evil plan. He's being an evil villain. Then the nightmare is like, it's time for me to come out, Shoddy. And she's like, I need you. And he's like, this might be your last time asking me for help. And then she goes, I had no choice. Save
Right.
Raven. Save everyone. Save everyone. And so he comes out and he starts kicking ass.
We got some stabby stab going on.
Hmm.
She murders the physician, which is good for him. She nearly murders Hoth, upset that he didn't just die in that scene, but
I was so happy in that
he
scene
was close
because
enough. He was close enough to death though to make me happy, I guess. But I was just praying there was no way for him to come back. We don't need that.
yeah, I thought there was no way. I was so happy in that scene. I was like, she broke his spine. She broke his spine. He cannot walk. Now Ione can just walk away if he tries to attack her and just be like, do, 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 do. Because what's he gonna do? He's gonna stand up. He just has to take his chair. I know that is abuse. No one should ever do that. But like, this guy, I'm just saying.
Never. Oh my god.
I'm sure he beat Ione And if he didn't, he was about to.
Right.
That man was scary.
He was beating up his brother since they were little with the scythe card. I feel like that helps explain why Elm wanted to be
Hates
such a
him.
strong scythe user because he'd had it used against him so many times.
So then she's, calling out for Ravyn, and Ravyn comes and sees that everything has gone to shit, and Elspeth is gone, you guys. She's not there. He uses the card and the nightmare, and he cannot hear her. And he's freaking out. And the nightmare says, I surrender, boy. Take me to the king. If you try to hide Elspeth, you will be incriminated, and you will probably be put to death. So just take me. So then we skip the scene, and it's the very end scene, and she is in the dungeon in the castle, and the king comes up. And I was waiting for her to rip the king's throat out. But
Right.
instead, the nightmare is like, I can take you to the Twin Alders. Because
That
I
very
can.
last important card of the deck, yeah.
And that's the only way they can complete the deck, is by getting the last card. Which,
It's
by the
the
way, now
hmm
Ravyn has all the cards except for the Twin Alder. Which, guys, I thought, okay, this is how I thought it was supposed to be. I thought you were supposed to use every single card, not one of each card to complete the deck of 12. But that's all he needed.
hmm
I didn't know that.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. I don't think they really explain that in the book, but as you go down the list of all the cards, there's like 12 of one card, 11 of the next, 10 of the next, 9 of the next, until you get to the Twin Alders, which there's only one card, and it's the most elusive card. No one's been able, there's no record of anyone using it. They just know that it exists, and no one seems to know where to find it, who has it, where it's hidden, none of that.
But we will get more into that into the next book, you guys. Overall, if you were to rate this book from 1 to 10, what would you rate it?
So for the first book, I would give it. It's hard to rate it now that I've read the second book already, but I feel like initially my rating would have been somewhere at like a 7.58, only because it was so slow in the beginning. How about yours?
I also would rate it an 8. It was
Okay.
good, but it wasn't my favorite that I've ever read. But it was good. It was good. I would
The ending
definitely read it.
definitely, yeah, the ending made me need to get to that second book immediately.
Absolutely. Another
Like,
question.
mhm.
If you had to pick a card, knowing what you know now, what card would you pick and why?
I want to say the well card, but you lose a friend if you use that card, is what I was told. I don't know, because the consequences to these cards are so severe. I would want the mirror, because the mirror is the one that you see the ghosts if you use it for too long. Like you get to see through the veil. So that one I'm fine with. That's the only card I care for.
I would take the scythe because if I ever needed it for safety reasons, like for instance, if my family was to get attacked or I was to get attacked, I would have a
Right.
means to be able to help. I also think I have control issues, so I don't want to be the one in control instead of having someone control me.
Heard.
Anyways, that's all for this episode, you guys. Let us know what you guys think about the book. Also, let us know which card you would want. And we hope to see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.